Reece Walsh has been a bit of a shining light since he's come on board with the Warriors, but where does his future actually lie? Should it be in the halves, or is he the right RTS replacement as fullback?
Okay, I'll kick things off. I reckon long term, if the Warriors are going to keep him on their books for, let's say, the next 10 years, he's in the halves. Okay. It's a short-term thing that he's at fullback. So yeah, get ready for all the hate coming my way. But I reckon he's the Warriors half, and will probably go alongside Chanel Harris-Tavita long term.
Okay.
Well, I'm on the other side. I feel that what we've seen from Reece Walsh and over the weekend, I feel that he's going to be the long-term fullback. Like for like. I know he's only 18. But I feel that he's got some similarities to Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Still a long way to go, but I feel that the future is around Reece Walsh at fullback.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like what I saw. Everybody liked what they saw, apart from Nathan Brown, who saw some flaws in his game at the weekend against the Tigers. But, when he was laying on those tries and he's throwing these just sublime cutout passes, he's up in the line and he's almost playing as like a third half. And so, I think that, in the long term, that's where we want to see him. We want to see him with his hands on the ball more often than not, and to continue on some of that ball playing. Because when you look at the stats out of the weekend, he did touch the ball an awful lot from the fullback position, Adam, but, you want him touching the ball as much as Chanel or as much as Cody, and influencing the game as much as he can.
I guess, the difference between his passing ability compared to Roger is he actually can pass a ball.
So Roger can't pass the ball.
Well, have we seen Roger? Have we seen Roger come in and do the things that Reece Walsh is doing with his passing game?
No.
Roger's always been known as the attacking style of player, where he comes in and does the tough carries from the back. We don't use Roger well enough anyway. The Warriors haven't done it properly for the time that he's been here. So we've only known Roger to be that guy that comes in, takes those tough carries, gives them some momentum. Reece Walsh is just coming from the back, slotting himself into that. I guess, like you said, a 2-pass wide or a 3-pass wide, where he's been able to use the skill that he does have with his long, short pass, which he possesses. That's where his difference is with Roger when it comes to the passing game. I feel that his communication at an 18-year-old needs to be better, but the fullback's his go. I feel like every time we can inject him in, the only time he is shining is obviously getting catches. We've seen him make breaks from the back, but we don't have enough players around him to support him. We don't have trouble getting out of our halves, but we don't seem to play any structured footy coming out of our halves. So the likes of Roger and Reece can't get into the game and use their ability. The only time we do open up and play a bit of footy is when we're attacking the line, and that's when they come into their own. But we're losing that effect of our good players, Roger, for example, and we only see Reece attacking style of footy played down near the try line. So if we can get down there, we'll see Reece coming in and playing how he's playing now, with using his feet, running at the back of blocks off Cody, where their back rows are running good lines, using his his 3-on-2 pass. Those kind of things. So I think the fullback position and the way the game's going for Reece will work really well. Hovering around the ball, coming out of your end goal, and then coming down into the attacking side of the park is where he's going to come into his own and play the way he's playing now. So, I guess as half, you're going to find a lot more traffic, where you have to make your tackles consistently. Teams will start identifying Reece as a bit of a spot player, a bit smaller. Defensively, hasn't been really tested properly yet. Manly found out a little bit about him and played some structure around him. 18 years old, still a long way to go, so still learning the game. I know Nathan Brown's been saying there's some flaws in his game. He's 18.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I didn't even play at 18. Yeah. So I would have had so many flaws in my game. I had flaws in my game at 21 when I played. So he's still got a long way to go. And if we're looking at the future for the Warriors at number one, well, Roger's gone. He's our man. Trying to link up with, I guess, halves that we're going to try and bring through with some good halves at the back of that. We've put a lot of pressure on Reece, the media over in Australia have put a lot of pressure on him. He's still growing as a kid. His next thing is to being able to stay grounded, to be able to focus on his role week in, week out, and know what his role is positionally, understanding the detail around his job and his role on the field, and then getting that done consistently week in, because Roger saves tries. That's mostly one thing that Reece needs to work on, is saving tries. That last man defence, that's your job at the last man, is to be able to save tries. So that's a big work on for Reece. But he's the number one, without a doubt.
You lied to us. He lied to us because he said he was going to go hard and fast, and then like 5 minutes later, I finally get to say something.
Oh, well, you could have come in and
No.
hold on.
You know, I haven't seen you for about a week and a half, and so
So you're just letting me talk.
yeah. Oh, I love your stories. I love your stories. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that for the next year and a half, the Warriors are going to play him as a one, because Cody Nikorima, he's on the books for next year, and he wants to play in the halves. But beyond that, I honestly think that there's a hole there. And when you look across the NRL as a whole, what is it that they have an abundance of? Really good fullbacks, Rav. You know, like you can look through the vast majority of the teams, and every weekend, like what do we do on game days, Adam? We always say, oh, can't wait for the clash of the fullbacks, because this week it's RTS versus Clint Gutherson. Next week it's RTS versus Tommy Turbo. Next week it's RTS versus Val Holmes. You know, the list goes on and on. There's a real dearth of talent in the halves. Since the retirements of Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk, you know, like there are very few dominant halves really carving up the competition. There are some on the way up. I mean, we're looking at Sam Walker at the Roosters now, and he's going to be a really big thing for years to come. But when you look at what's there right here, right now, Nathan Cleary, Daly Cherry Evans, who else? Mitchell Pearce is on the sidelines. Yeah. Geez, I'm just trying to think. Cameron Munster, but he's out of the game at the moment. Yeah, there's so many good fullbacks. I feel like if you moved Reece Walsh into halves, he would be one of the more dominant halves in the competition. And it's clearly a position where other teams, not just the Warriors, are really struggling to find somebody good who can control the game and provide that X factor. So that's a reason why I want to see Reece Walsh, after the next year and a half, move into that role. And who knows what happens with Cody, whether he stays with the club or moves into the 9 position, utilises speed out of acting half. But yeah, I think the next positional tweak for Reece Walsh in what year will it be, 2023, would be moving into the halves. And we've seen it happen in the game before, and good players have really great success in the half position. You just got to look at Darren Lockyer. Started off his career with the Broncos in the 1 jersey, moves into the halves, did great things with the Broncos. Even someone like Ben Hornby moved from fullback into the halves and won a premiership with the Dragons.
Anthony Milford.
Milford, yeah. Preston Campbell, going back all those years. We'll just gloss over that one, mate.
When he was at Canberra.
Yeah.
When he was at Canberra.
Yeah, but so, I mean, that's my main point, like where you've got just an abundance of really good quality fullbacks. It seems in this day and age, it's harder to produce these sensational halves. And Reece Walsh, what we're seeing with his incredible stepping, his ball playing ability, imagine just getting him in the 6 jersey alongside Chanel long term and what they could do for this club.
So do we go to the market and find another fullback then?
Yeah, but it's easy to produce them because everyone's got one. Yeah.
Is it easy?
So easy, yeah.
I feel Reece Walsh, if there's someone that he could, I guess not like style for style, your mate Clint Gutherson plays the fullback and does exactly what Reece Walsh does. Play ball plays off the back of those things. So if we're looking at someone that Reece Walsh can kind of mimic a little bit, or is trying to, without obviously the footwork and the speed that Reece Walsh has, Clint Gutherson does exactly what Reece Walsh is doing now. So he plays that short long ball all the time, and then he's a runner at the same time. So we don't need to move him from the back because he can do what he can do without playing at 6. Because there's players like Clint Gutherson that shows people that you can do it from the back without having the 6 on your back. Travojevic, when he comes into play, he plays exactly the same way. He's got that short long ball, plays at the back of Schuster, who's ball playing for him, and then he's just tipping it on.
How good was he the other day as well, eh?
Fantastic.
Jeez.
So there's fullbacks are doing it. I think the only one, Tedesco does the same thing. He gets hands on ball early, skips around the field, ball plays a bit. So the fullbacks are still playing the same way. And Reece Walsh is doing exactly what everyone else is doing, just at 18. So why move him from the back when he can still do the things that he does from the back and come into the front line and do what he's doing now, because every other fullback's doing the same.
I was having to think just the other day about the rejig that the Warriors undertook at the weekend against the Tigers, and it's born out of necessity really, because like who have they got in the outside backs these days? Because Peter Hiku, he's injured and he's off to the Cowboys. Yep. And they've got some young guys coming through that maybe they don't want to give the chance to just yet. David Fusatua out injured. We don't know when we're going to see him again.
Yep.
Apparently, big Ken Maumalo's injured.
Yep.
Apparently.
So we've got Ken. I think we've got Ken Fuss, Edward Corsi on the sidelines, and they're all really big boys. And if we look at the way the game's going at the moment,
it's fast. It's fast.
So our boys like Ewan Aiken, Adam Pompey, Marcelo Montoya. Yeah. That's where we're going. That's how we're going, and that's where the game's going. So you've got to be agile. You've got to be able to move around the field as quick as you can, and that's where the game's going.
Which is why we're seeing Reece Walsh at fullback now, but we won't see him there later, because it's going to take the Warriors some time to figure out what they're going to do with their outside back stocks as the competition moves forward. You said it yourself. Like it's all about pace, and if Ken Maumalo is carrying 113, 114 kgs out there on the wing, and he's a wonderful battering ram, but we need him to be quick off the mark and have some acceleration like an Addo Carr or a Charlie Staines or a Brian To'o, and we're not getting that from him. So this is where Roger Tuivasa-Sheck was so good on the wing and ate up all those metres. And I think smaller and faster is the way of the future. So it's the current rejig is born out of necessity.
Yep.
They need to strip weight off Ken Maumalo. They need to see what happens with David Fusatua as well. But the little guys out the back doing their thing, that's the way it has to be.
Okay. How important is it because obviously my understanding was that Reece Walsh was coming in as the future replacement of RTS. That's what I thought. But how important is it? There's all this stuff happening around Reece, but if he is to get to be at his full potential with the Warriors, how important is it to right now put him in that one set position and that's him? Or
it takes away all the distraction of all the other understanding what all the other roles are.
Yeah.
I feel that for any athlete and any player, having a set mindset on what your job is and what your role is, and executing that week in, week out, comes into preparation for your week so that you understand what you're doing. So when the Warriors move people around, yes, they may have trained in those positions. That's not necessarily their right position. You're chucking a right centre into a left centre. That's a complete different position to what you're normally focusing on. So all week you may be focusing on a left side, but you're actually a right centre. Your preparation has to change week in, week out. So having someone set into a role, and I feel Reece is a fullback, and I feel Reece knows that he's a fullback as well, and Reece has most probably played fullback a lot. His trial up in Brisbane when they played against the Cowboys, he did exactly the same thing as what he has been doing for the Warriors from the fullback position. So for an 18-year-old, keeping it nice and simple for someone at that age is what you need. Moving them around into positions, saying you're a 6, saying you might have to go and fill into a centre position, anywhere on the field, starts playing on your mind, and you can't focus on what your role is. So you got all this information coming in, and some of the kids or some of the players can't even hold that much information in their minds. So the distraction from just having, understanding what your roles are is hard enough. So imagine turning up on game day and saying, well, now you're playing winger, or now you're playing in the halves, when all week you've been training at fullback, or all pre-season you trained at fullback, and then next minute you're on in a position that you haven't worked on. So I feel it's key now for Reece to understand, and for the coaching staff to give him the tools, give him the details in his role, and just go out there and execute it every week.
Yeah, but he will have that certainty for the next year and a half, because he will be playing fullback for that period of time. My argument is that long term he'll shift. And sometimes in rugby league and in life, you don't actually know what you've got. right? And so we're seeing it all the time. Isaiah Papali'i went to the Eels, and I think he wanted to play as a middle forward, but he's been so damaging on the edge, that's where he is. And so Reece Walsh, at some point, he will make that change. At the moment, he'll be getting drilled with information about how Roger's played in the fullback position, and Roger will be imparting that information to him, and he'll grow and learn, and he'll be defensively better in a year and a half to what he is now, and then you make the change. And, I said it earlier, Lockyer made the change, Hornby made the change, Campbell Milford made the change, and, they had varying degrees of success.
They were mostly 200 games into their career before they made the change. The likes of Reece needs to nail down that one position for now and play footy like he's been doing. And you've seen he's not afraid to play footy.
Not at all.
But there's always learnings and work-ons from every game that he plays for sure.
And I think you brought up a great point about the pressure on him. Like when I go through my social media feed, it's all Reece Walsh, Reece Walsh, Reece Walsh. The future of the team. I would have to side with Adam Blair on this one. I think fullback is the go for Reece Walsh. Who knows, after those 50 to 100 games, he may slide in there, but that's very dependent on how he plays in those games down the track, I think. He doesn't not have the ability to do so looking at him right now.
Yeah.
But I think fullback is the future.
We could have put Shaun Johnson at fullback back in the day, but we didn't move him. And he's got similar abilities to what Reece is showing right now, is the quality that Reece is showing. You could, like him to a Shaun Johnson or a Kalen Ponga, who can play both as well, you know what I mean? And they all do the same thing. So, we could have moved Shaun to fullback, those back in the days, but we didn't. We stayed strong on, in the halves, and that's where he's playing now. So Kalen's must be confused because he's so good at with everything he does defensively and attack-wise from the back and in the front line. So it's must be a hard thing for a player because you can play so many positions that your focus is a little bit all over the shop.
And after Blake Green's immediate retirement announcement,
he slipped straight in there.
That probably muddies the waters a little bit more for him. Yeah, like one or in the halves.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then even, I guess, Origin's talking about, chucking him in because they've got AJ Brimson and those guys. So the same thing there. So, Reece is our one and...
For the moment.
Reece said he is. Reece said he is as well.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay, well, great conversation, guys, and all the very best, of course, as always, to our boys.